Welcome to Game Point, a whole new ball game. I'm your host, Sam Jones, and I'll be joined by SUTV sports reporters Colton Poole, Joel Sipper, and Allie Thorson. On today's lineup, we will recap the Summit League Championship game, look at who the Bison might play, look at the big moves in NFL free agency, and recap the Wild game. But first up, we recap the Summit League Championship game. Now, Colton and Joel, you guys were both at that game. What were you guys' takeaway?
Well, that first half, that was quite the doozy. I mean, the Bison really didn't get off to the strongest start. I mean, Taylor Braun, after shooting the lights out against Denver, only had 3 points in the first half. Got a lot of people, a lot of Bison fans there just nervous.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, man, did he pull through at the end there. I mean, he scored 10 out of their last 11 points, I believe, something around there. I mean, he just showed that he was definitely worthy of the Summit League Player of the Year, worthy of that Summit League, that tournament MVP selection. Man, I mean, they would not, the NDSU team, as good as they are from top to bottom, would not be there with if it weren't for Braun coming through at the end there.
Yeah, and that's what great players do. They come through when, even if they're struggling, they come through when it really matters, and that's exactly what he did. But Trayvon, he really carried the team for most of the game.
Yeah. I mean, while Taylor Braun might have closed things out for them, Trayvon Wright was the reason that they were there in the first place. Because I mean, IPFW was controlling the court from in all different aspects, and Trayvon Wright was the reason that they were still in it, making big plays, big dunks, and. Was the reason they were still in it.
You heard all weekend from all these coaches saying that, you know, it was going to take a group of seniors to come in and win the Summit League tournament. And you see that with the Bison, the way that when one's not stepping up like Taylor, you have guys there that have been performing like Trayvon Wright, for instance. And then Bjorklund, even though he fouled out, I still think he held his own against big Steve Forbes down low. I mean, 6'9", 300 pounds. That's a Coke machine with legs.
Yeah.
When I tell you what, when I was taking photos at that game, I was down on the court, and I was intimidated by just being sitting right there and just looking up at him. That is a huge guy, and for Bjorklund to do what he did against him and at least limit him. I guess, especially against a lineup of NDSU who's not the biggest by any means, especially when you got Trayvon Wright at your power forward, who's not the heaviest guy.
Plays more like a small forward.
Yeah, exactly. And kudos to Bjorklund for sticking with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Forbes, he kind of looks like he should be a football player, not a basketball player. That's what I kept thinking when I was watching the game on TV. I was just like, why is he out there? Like, is he on the football team?
And he's got some athleticism, too. It's ridiculous.
I was funny, too. I was sitting next to the South Dakota State SIDs talking about Forbes, and there was a bunch of other chatter amongst media members, and like they're saying, if Forbes lost at least 20 pounds, he would be just absolute unstoppable down low. I mean, if he could gain some more muscle, I mean, just imagine what. Oh, that's scary. Something for the offseason. We'll see how it comes out at the start of Summit League next year.
Yeah, so what was going through your guys' mind when you see Taylor Braun hit that last shot?
Oh, the and one?
Yeah, the and one. Very last shot to win the game.
I mean, I did not expect Braun to hit that. I mean, I knew that he got fouled, but watch that shot go in. I mean, that was a huge moment. That was a historic moment. Yeah. I think. Personally, I think that ranks up right there with Ben Woodside hitting that shot against Oakland. I mean,
I think
huge.
Too, it's sort of like the cherry that tops off his career at NDSU. I mean, he's still got to go out into the NCAA tournament, but like just some of the legacy that he's left behind. And then too, there's a soundbite from Coach Saul Phillips. Like he was the alpha dog on the court, and you could truly say that he was. Even though he wasn't missing shots, he still had that mentality. Guys, I want the ball in the hand. It's just great leadership like that.
And how about to back up that talk that he had last year when they lost to SDSU, and he said, we're coming back next year and we're going to win it. I mean, that speaks volumes when you can back that prediction up, especially a year behind.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, well, it's his time. You know, he has to back up his prediction. He came through, hit an amazing shot and one over his head.
And how about that fadeaway three there? Both two plays before that. I mean, what hand in the face, shot clock coming down. I mean. Huge play.
Just real testament to this NDSU team.
Yeah, so going forward, Selection Sunday is this Sunday. They're projected to probably be a 12 seed.
Coach Saul Phillips said they would be around the 12 seed.
12 seed, yeah. As we take a look at this graphic here, there's about 4 different teams by various different websites that have us either playing Oklahoma, UConn, San Diego State, or Michigan. The site that had Michigan, they actually had us as a 14 seed. I don't see that.
I don't agree with that.
Neither do
I think if you're going back to last year, the Summit League representative, South Dakota State, granted they had Nate Walters, now starting NBA point guard, Walters played for SDSU last year, and they were a 13 seed, and they played Michigan. I think that NDSU might be a little bit thorough team, and might be just a little bit better, especially with that upset win over Notre Dame on their resume. I think that also helps them.
I'd say probably the win over Santa Clara could be considered an upset too. I don't know if they're really expected to win that classic. And then there's a couple other key wins they had on their non-conference schedule. So that factors into
their RPI is right up there. I mean, 41 the last time I checked, or in that 40s range. That's pretty good for a mid-major school.
Yeah, definitely.
We're number 4 mid-major school in the nation. I mean, the only teams ahead of us: Gonzaga, Stephen F. Austin,
Wichita State.
Yeah, you could probably
Wichita State.
I mean, those two probably not being like mid-majors anymore. You could throw those out and like just seeing NDSU up there.
Yeah, it's tough to define a mid-major team, I think, because we were having this discussion not too long ago about who is a mid-major team and whether Wichita State is a mid-major team. I agree with Sam. What he said last couple episodes ago was when BYU had their big run with Jimmer Fredette, they're still considered a mid-major, I think, anyway.
I would say they are, because if you look at who did they play in their non-conference schedule? They played St. Louis. That was the only team in the top 25 they played this entire season, and then they get to their conference schedule and they're playing mid-major schools. So it's kind of hard to quantify. They're basically going off of how they did last year.
But I mean,
they are undefeated.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of talent
to
be
undefeated. No, I'm not discrediting what they've done, but I'm also saying when Duke loses a game, they're losing to someone probably in the top 25, or North Carolina, or another big school, Wisconsin, Michigan State. They're playing teams that are ranked up there in the top 25, and then they lose a game, and you get teams like Wichita State, BYU, Butler, and they have their non-conference schedule, and they're not really playing any good teams, and then they hit their conference schedule, and they're playing all mid-major schools.
I'm just wondering right now, what team do you think best matches up with NDSU for NDSU's perspective? Do you think Huskies, maybe Michigan?
Quickly, I would say I'd go with probably San Diego State.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I'd say San Diego, or maybe just a shot at UConn, although they have Shabazz and Napier.
Yeah, UConn. I'd say Oklahoma as well. Well, coming up next, Allie Thorson will be joining Colton Poole and myself, and we will talk about the NFL free agency. Stick with us.
The NDSU Bookstore, where every true fan and alum goes to get their pride on. Gear up with a variety of high-quality t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, and more. Made by top-of-the-line brands like Under Armour, Nike, and CI Sport to help you show off your Bison pride. The NDSU Bookstore has everything you need in your 2 favorite colors, green and gold.
The future is constantly unfolding. No one knows better than those preparing for it. Every week, NDSU's student-run television organization, the Bison Information Network, brings you SUTV News, with news about NDSU, the campus community, and current events affecting you. Watch SUTV News on Cable 1, Channel 14, Friday and Saturday at 9 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday at 9 a.m.
Deeks Pizza. Prices with the student in mind. Fast delivery and conveniently open until 3 a.m. Order by phone at 701-235-0708. Order online at deekspizza.com or order with Deeks' easy-to-use mobile app. NDSU. Make Deeks your choice for pizza this semester. That's Deeks, Great pizza that won't empty your pockets.
Hey, I'm Mariah, and I'm at Bus because not only does it save me money, but with 20 different routes, it makes getting around Fargo much more convenient. I'm at Bus. Do you?
Welcome back to Game Point, a whole new ball game. Colton Poole and I are now joined by Allie Thorson, and we'll be talking NFL free agency and the Minnesota Vikings. So, guys, there's been a huge number of moves in the last couple of days with NFL. Big names moving places, switching teams. What stands out to you guys?
I've never seen an NFL free agency with this many big name players just being open to all these teams. This is probably one of the most prominent free agencies we've had in the past decade.
Oh, yeah, I would have to say that. I mean, even big names, they're getting cut. It's not just getting traded, they're just getting cut.
Yeah, if you look at Darrelle Revis, he was set to make, $16 million, and with a new regime with Lovie Smith in there, he wasn't ready to pay $16 million to some guy who's there already, and Lovie Smith was looking to revamp that defense anyways, and so, but what a pickup by the New England Patriots. I mean, to replace Aqib Talib with now Darrelle Revis, who haunted them for how many years with New York Jets. I mean, that is a major improvement for that defense right there.
Yeah, and I guess you could say they got him on a discount, $12 million versus $16 million, which
Yeah.
he was making. That's pretty nice, and they're not paying him much more than what they would have been paying Aqib Talib.
And still 1 year off that injury, 1 year deal. I mean, if it doesn't pan out, then you don't have to pay him anymore.
Yeah, Allie, what sticks out to you?
I think this may be a bold statement, but if the Denver Broncos do not make it to the Super Bowl this year with all that they've picked up, they're really doing something wrong.
I think they've got to win it because they made it last year, and now they've got DeMarcus Ware and TJ Ward and Aqib Talib on that team. I mean, that offense is stacked. Granted, they lose Eric Decker, but they still have Wes Welker, Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, and now with the defense that's much improved, and they've got Von Miller for a whole season now. Looking at those two outside linebackers, DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller, how scared are quarterbacks going to be going against those two guys?
They are, yeah, they're going to be scared. I guess one question in mind, when's Father Time going to start creeping up on Peyton Manning? He's getting up in age, and I mean, he did have an amazing season last year, but look how far Brett Favre fell after that 1 year he had in Minnesota.
But you could also say that about his year with the New York Jets when he didn't have that great of a year, and then he still comes back and has that great year. But then again, Peyton Manning has never really had that huge arm strength to begin with. But we'll see how he ages.
Going back to Eric Decker, I believe that he's going to fit in perfectly with the Jets. He's just got that crazy personality, and I think the Jets got a great deal on him.
And so I've been told women love him, and New York City. I mean, perfect place for fame and glit and glamour. And I mean, $36.5 million for over 5 years. I think that's, especially with how the New York Jets are sitting right now, I think that's taking the money over the wins.
And I know we're going to get to the NFC North in a bit, but Golden Tate going to the Lions, any team should now be absolutely terrified of that offense. Megatron and Golden Tate together, I hate to say it, pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah, that's going to be very hard to stop. But is Matthew Stafford, I mean, sometimes it just doesn't seem he's always there.
No, he's not always there, but we've seen him come so far in his career.
Right, we have.
And I think, sometimes in those key moments, he is clutch. And he's proven that, especially in the past couple of years.
And we'll see how he fares with the new coaching regime there.
Yeah, so the Minnesota Vikings have also made some moves, guys. Which one do you think is the biggest pickup so far?
I'm going to say to fill the needs of the Vikings, Linval Joseph was a good pickup. Kind of within the limited variety of defense right now that will fit their needs, I think Linval Joseph will fit in. They need those big guys to plug the holes in their line, and he is a big guy. And not only is he big, he's very talented as well. And I think not only is that a great pickup for the Vikings, it's kind of a big loss for the Giants.
Oh yeah,
especially after losing Jared Allen, you need some defensive line help there. But I think the biggest addition for the Vikings is Captain Mutterlin. I mean, getting that help in the secondary, they definitely need it. They definitely need some help there, and I mean, and 3 years, $15 million. It's not too bad of a deal for a guy who's proven himself in the league.
Especially coming from the Panthers defense, which was just absolutely explosive throughout the entire season last year.
Yeah, so was anyone surprised when Matt Castle came back because he opted out of his contract? So I was like, okay, he's probably leaving, and then all of a sudden, no, the Vikings re-signed him.
I wasn't completely surprised because I think in the market right now with quarterbacks, not a lot of teams were looking at him, and he decided to come back, and I think that was the right move for Minnesota right now. Ponder has played out to be nothing for Minnesota, as sad as it is for us to admit it, but he hasn't.
Not sad for me.
But we don't know what's going to happen in the draft coming up in the next few months, and if we do draft a quarterback or first round, whatever round it is, they need a quarterback right now, and it may not be the best available, but it's what they have.
Allie, I know how much you love the Vikings. If the Vikings if you could get one quarterback for the Vikings, who would it be?
Bortles, without a doubt.
Why is that?
I'm gonna pass over the whole Johnny football fiasco.
Yeah, I know you don't like him.
Well, I just think he is not right for Minnesota. I think Minnesota needs a good head on their shoulders.
That's fair, yeah.
Because they've had so many bad experiences with ego coming over. But I think Blake Bortles is the right answer for Minnesota. A lot of people compare him to Ben Roethlisberger, and if you look at their passing, it is almost identical. So I think he'll be a great fit.
And especially with Matt Castle now there and Bortles being such a raw talent, I think having a little bit of experience under Castle and you bring in Bortles, I think that would be a great situation for Bortles to come into.
I think this draft's going to be interesting because nobody's pre-draft boards are matching up. You got Mel Kiper Jr. having Johnny Manziel drop to number 8 to the Vikings, but then you got other people having him go number 1. You have Bortles possibly going to the Vikings. Everyone's draft board is different. No one stands out. No one's the same.
And going back to the whole free agency thing, and especially in the NFC North, I mean, the Bears were making so many different deals all across the board. I mean, they pick up Willie Young for 3 years, $9 million. They get Lamar Houston for 5 years. That's a huge deal for them, and they were looked to advance their defensive line play. And they got a couple high-motor defensive ends for them. And I think that greatly affects how they will go into the draft because I think from here, their biggest concern is getting defensive back help.
I think the NFC North defense as a whole is going to look completely different. Allen is gone. Peppers is gone. B.J. Raji is a free agent. We're going to be looking at a whole different league.
All right, well, coming up next, I'll be joined by Joel Sipper, and we'll be recapping the Wild game and take a look at the playoff push in the NHL.
Jitters is the NDSU Campus Communities Coffee Hub. Conveniently located right next to campus, Jitters Coffee has a wide range of amenities, including comfortable seating, Wi-Fi, and an assortment of beverages. Jitters is here to meet your needs, whether you're looking to relax and socialize or study in a rich, active environment. Be sure to make your way over for your morning brew, a bite at lunch, or for a break between classes. Get your fix only at Jitters.
The NDSU Bookstore, where every true fan and alum goes to get their pride on. Gear up with a variety of high-quality t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, and more. Made by top-of-the-line brands like Under Armour, Nike, and CI Sport to help you show off your Bison pride. The NDSU bookstore has everything you need in your two favorite colors, green and gold.
The future is constantly unfolding. No one knows better than those preparing for it. Every week, NDSU's student-run television organization, the Bison Information Network, brings you SUTV News, with news about NDSU, the campus community, and current events affecting you. Watch SUTV News on Cable 1, Channel 14, Friday and Saturday at 9 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday at 9 a.m.
Welcome back to Game Point, a whole new ball game. I am now joined by Joel Sipper, and we'll be talking about the Wild in the NHL playoff push. So, Joel, the Wild didn't win last night, 2-1 against the Rangers. What were your takeaways from that game?
Takeaways from that game, I mean, it was at home, and there was a big one that they needed to distance themselves from Dallas and Phoenix, in that 7th and 8th, or in that 8th and 9th spot. I think the guys that they've paid money for and expect, they're starting to come through in the clutch. Like Parisi, he scored the game-winning goal last night. That was his 46th game-winning goal in his career. I mean, that's what you expect out of him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big hockey expert. That's a pretty high number. Do you see them moving up in the seedings, or where do you see them finishing?
I see them finishing in the 7th. They have a big ladder to climb if they want to get into that 6th seed, because they have the way that the NHL playoffs or the format works is now that you have 2 separate divisions, and the top 3 teams go in there regardless, and those get the top 6 seeds, and then the bottom 2 are wild cards. And I think with Minnesota being out of reach from Chicago, I mean, they're out of reach by 11 points right now. That's a lot of ground to make up. I still see them sitting in that 7th spot.
All right, so playoff start. They play.
Who do they play?
Yeah, who do they play?
Favorable matchup that they want. I mean, they hung with the St. Louis team and they took them into overtime, and that's great that you can see that they can compete with that. But at the same time, what worries me is the game after that. They blew a 3-0 lead at home to Edmonton in the 3rd period.
Yeah, that is really concerning. I mean, 3-0 and you blow the lead. That's a game you're supposed to win.
That's a game that you're supposed to win. I mean, they've had success against Edmonton, and Edmonton's at the bottom of the Western Conference, and they lose like that. I'm sure that
that's even worse. That hurts worse. You're not supposed to lose to the worst team like that. That's terrible.
That's horrible. A lot of Wild fans were upset with that.
If I was a coach, I'd be in the locker room irate, going off at every single player.
Yeah, I bet that happened. And then too, you look at this Wild team, they've gotten a lot of depth, which they've acquired at the trade deadline. They freshly acquired Matt Molson from the Buffalo Sabres. It was kind of nice because they didn't give up that much to get him. I believe Matt Molson, they traded for him. They traded a 4th liner in Torrey Mitchell. He really never found his stride this season. I mean, he was a great penalty killer, but really didn't find something. And then they traded away 2 second-round picks. One of those second-round picks happened to be when the Wild traded for Devin Setaguchi in the offseason. And then another deal that they had was to pick up Izgalia Briskalov. I mean, the thing is, Briskalov, he's had horrible playoff numbers, but I think the Wild traded for him. They traded a 4th-rounder to get him. And that was just more of an insurance card, I think.
So how have these trade deadline moves worked out for the Wild? Have they?
They give them, with Molson, it gives them more depth up front. I mean, Wild are loaded at forwards. I mean, you have the amazing line combination of Parisi, Granlund, and Pominville. Those 3 guys have had 33 points in the last 11 games. That's big for them. And then now with Molson, you add a lot of depth at the forward positions. They're having, I saw today that Koivu, Molson, and Nino were playing together today.
Yeah.
They were matching them up. It just gives them a lot of depth. And then, looking at Izgalia Briskalov, he's more of an insurance card because they had Nicholas Backstrom, who's been ruled out for the year, and you have Kemper, where he's been playing solid when he's been in the game, and then you have Josh Harding, who's still struggling with MS. Hopefully he gets better. But if you would have lost Kemper and not made a move at the deadline, you would have been pretty thin at the goaltender position where you have Briskov, he can fill in some games.
Yeah, and it's definitely bad to be one of those teams that didn't make a move that probably should have made a move. That's in any sport, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, they definitely covered their back. And it's sort of interesting to see which goalie that they wanted to get. I mean, there was rumors about Miller and Brodeur, but obviously they really didn't want to give up that much, which is kind of nice because as much as they have a lot of young talent in the NHL, in the minors and in juniors, they really don't have that much because they've traded away their past first-round picks now, where it's going into this year's draft, at least they'll have something to work with and something to start developing.
So with the Wild management, do you see them drafting good? How do you feel about their management?
Well, I think they've been doing a great job the past couple of years. Looking at who they're going to draft, I think they, I don't know, they might need another goalie or something like that. Look at another goalie to get in the system. Look at another defenseman. I mean, they have Matt Dummel who'll probably come back. The thing is, though, they'll probably have a pick from like anywhere from sixth or like high teens to the high 20s. You're not going to find that like top tier stud, but you'll still find someone good.
Yeah, you can always develop players to be a top tier stud. You know, there's always that that person that turns out to be better than what you thought they were going to be.
Yeah. I know that's the thing with the NHL draft. And then how about that moment the other night in Dallas?
Yeah, that guy passed out on the ice.
Richard Peverly.
Richard Peverly, yeah.
He was on the bench. That's got to be something scary. He was on the bench, and all of a sudden he just collapsed. I even saw, like, watching the replays from that, Tyler Seguin, you know, one of the forwards for Dallas, gets there and like the whole bench saw it, but the game kept going for like 20 seconds, and then all of a sudden you see Sagan jump over the bench, just waving, trying to get the referee's attention to get over. But that was definitely a scary moment.
Yeah, he has some type of a heart condition, is it? Or
yeah,
is it?
He's had a prior heart condition, you know, and it's bothering him. And then I think like a week previously there was something that came up, and then he got cleared for it. I saw that he's going to take the rest of the season off to get better, but wow, that's something. And I think it speaks to, I know if you look at any other sport, I think the NHL is good for health in the way that they get them, because football, that might take a guy a while to get off the field. You know, you have such a big field,
yeah,
such a big perimeter on the sidelines. You can see basketball where you can get him off the court fairly quick, but NHL, he passed out right next to the tunnel to the locker room.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you had those paramedics coming in, they got him in, got him out, revived him that quick, defibrillated him. I mean,
that is one good thing about hockey. You're really close to the locker room. I know in the NBA, they have to walk down the tunnel and walk away to get to the medical room once they're hurt. It's not right there.
It is convenient though, just for him. And like that Dallas Stars team, I know they postponed the game. I'm not sure when they're going to do that, but Dallas Stars, they definitely need those points because they're right there and they're looking to get into the playoffs.
So do you see them jumping ahead of the Wild?
I think with being a couple points out, they have the potential if the Wild start slipping. I know Dallas, they have some great scores in Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin. They've been top. I mean, both those guys had the potential to be on the Olympic team for Canada, which was something like that, which is outstanding. And then they have young guys too, like Valir Nishushkin from Russia. He's going to be a top talent in past coming years.
Oh, it should be an exciting stretch down the end of the season again with those two teams.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us here on Game Point. Remember, it's a whole new ball game. And if you're going to be here in Fargo over the weekend, make sure you get out to the BSA Sunday for the Selection Show Watch Party.